Welcome back to the Mad Spideyverse. I'm Mad Spidey. Thank you once again for tuning into my channel. So today's episode of my statue collection is going to be a slightly special edition. It is the 50th episode of my statue collection. So yes, I've shown 50 from my Bowen Designs collection. Now obviously the usual spiel of Bowen Designs is, or was, should I say, the most prevalent statue company, or one of the most prevalent back in the mid to late 90s to early 2000s. They did 5 phases with 3 different ranges. So they did a mini bust range, a mini statue, and a full-size statue. I decided not to go the mini statues. I did buy a few, but I decided to get rid of them and just stick to the mini bust and the full size, because in most cases the mini statues are exactly the same as the full size, just on a smaller scale. So mini bust, full size, Marvel license at the time. They did quite a big range, anywhere from your mainstream characters, your Spider-Mans, your Iron Mans, your Hulks, your Captain Americas and all that sort of stuff, which they quite often would reiterate in each phase. They would do different costumes, different poses, you know, from museum to action, so on and so forth. But yeah, as I said, different iterations. So maybe, you know, a different person in the same suit, or, you know, like a Bucky Captain America they did, things like that. But they also did quite often, they did deep dives into the back catalogue of Marvel characters as well. So it wasn't just your mainstream stuff. They gave a lot of variety. So, as I said, 50th episode, slightly special edition. Now, this particular piece I'm going to show today is by far, from my recollection, is probably the rarest piece that I have. Now, in saying it's the rarest piece, it's not necessarily everybody's favourite character. It is a hero, not a supervillain, or a supporting cast or anything like that. But it's not necessarily, as I said, not necessarily a favourite character. Most people, you know, they love Iron Man, they love Cap, they love Spidey, you know, they love Hulk, or, you know, their favourite's a villain or mainstream villain and things like that. But it's a major team, but not necessarily a mainstream team, I suppose you could say. So the team in question is Alpha Flight, and the character is Sasquatch. So you're like, why would Sasquatch be one of the rarest, especially in the mini bust? So I will explain. Before we get into that though, the usual description, obviously, you can always tell it's a Bowen Designs box because of the trademark grey. They will always have on the mini bust, not on the full size, but on the mini bust, they will have a synopsis of the character. They will generally show you the 2 pictures. Usually the first picture is usually their first appearance book, or close to it. I think this is maybe second appearance. I think that's 121, and I think Sasquatch first appeared in 120 X-Men, I think. And then generally a book that's closer to time of release. Now, once again, I think this is a little bit off, because that's a book from the 90s, and this was released in the, I think, early 90s. This was released late 90s, really early 2000s, maybe 2000, 2001, something like that. The other side will also show you who actually sculpted the original prototype, and then if there are different versions. Now, if you do have a look closely, there are 2 different versions on this particular box. Before I get into that, one quick extra note. Usually on the bottom they have an edition number. Now, as you can see, the edition number is usually above the copyright trademark stuff. There's no sticker there, which either means one of 2 things. Either one, it's a super rare edition, which I'll get into, or the sticker's just been knocked off and lost. So it could be one of the 2. And I've said that before, and then I've opened it up and it's just been a normal numbered edition, and the sticker's been lost. So it quite often happens, unfortunately, because it's a very thin sort of sticker, and it happens, unfortunately. Now, To get into the quick story of the two different bases. Originally, the one here with the cubed base, that was the original leaked prototype photo or design that was going to be released. There was a little bit of a backlash to why it wasn't released. A lot of people are like, why is it like, you know, a cube and it's got like a skyline of a city and things like that? He's more of a, you know, out in the Canadian wilderness and things like that. So they decided to get rid of the cube base and go for like a Rocky Mountain, snowy sort of looking base. So this was normally an edition of, when they went to this, the normal edition of 2,000 worldwide. So slightly smaller for your mini-busts. Most of the mini-bus common characters, or most, you know, sort of mainstay characters, are usually between 3 to 4 to 5 up to 10,000 edition. They did this one at 2,000, so it's slightly smaller than usual. Now the deal is, what actually happened, because they'd already done some of these, you randomly got, so almost like a blind box, you know, a mystery box, you randomly got some with cube bases still in the run. So even though the run was 2,000, there was only 100 made of the cube base. So in saying that, so you've gone from 2,000, which is slightly smaller worldwide run than usual, to the ones with the cube bases, only 100 worldwide were randomly put in. And as soon as that happened, people were scouring eBay and the forums to try and get them, because 100, like, there was nothing at that time in the Bowen range that had such a small run. Everything was, you know, in the multiple hundreds or thousands or even 10,000, as I said before. So I was lucky enough, I was able to get one of those 100 worldwide releases out of the 2,000 with the cubed base. But here's the extra kicker. This one is actually not a numbered version. It's actually an artist-proof version, which was, from what I've been told and from what research I've done, and I think I actually asked the man himself, Randy Bowen, how many artist proofs of the cube base were actually made. There was only 3, I believe. Only 3 artist proofs, I believe, were made. And out of those 3 artist proofs, only 2 were signed. Right there. So literally there are only, I believe, now I could be totally wrong, as I said, this was a research that I'd done a long time ago, like I'm talking 15, 20 years ago or more, but from what I remember, there are only 3 artist proofs in existence, and it might have been all 3 might have been signed. But I could have sworn there was only 2 out of the 3 may have been signed for some strange reason. But even if you put it down to 3, there's only 3 of these in the world. So as I said, not necessarily everybody's most favorite character, but it's still a very cool piece to have, and a very super rare piece. Now obviously this one's an early phase release as well, because you can see there's not much detail in the back. Like, he's still being given all these, you know, shaggy mane, I suppose, but they didn't do any detail on the base. They didn't give him arms, because they didn't really start doing arms on the busts till more like the 2nd and 3rd phase. But yeah, so super rare. So glad to have that in my collection. And on a side note, I remember before I'd actually acquired that, I just randomly looked at the time. And as I said, we're talking 20-something years ago. I remember the regular edition with the base, they were going for, you know, between 30, 40 US to about 60 or 70 US. The cube bases were going from $500 to $1,000 at that time. So I don't know whether they would have held any value or whether they just, you know, ridiculously even rarer now, but obviously mine being an artist proof, if somebody was to say to me, you know, I'll give you $10,000 for it, I'd seriously I'd seriously consider it, but I don't know whether I would sell it or not. I know that sounds stupid, but, you know, it's a super rare piece and super honored to have it. So anyway, that'll do for this particular video. Hope you enjoyed it. As I said, 50th statue collection episode, and many more to come. So if you like it, let me know in the comments below, or let you know any other comments you wish to leave. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. Please hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, as I appreciate each and every one of my fans, followers, friends, subscribers, whatever you'd like to call yourself, the Mad Spideyverse. I appreciate each and every one of you. So anyway, hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and Spidey out.